guess that what I've been trying to do with queer problematics and themes since the very beginning is to incorporate them in plots where they were not central, where they were not problematics, so that I wouldn't be stressing that, and I would try to. My point of view is pretty elementary. Is that we live in a time where it's time to blur the line that we have so clearly drawn around a certain community or around other communities. And what I've been trying to do in my films is, and I was talking about this today, I once read in a TV schedule, whatever, TV grid, that I Killed My Mother was playing, and the synopsis was this. Teenager at odds is at odds with his mother when he comes out to her. Which is not at all the story of I Killed My Mother. It is the story of a teenage boy who is rejecting everything around himself, it's a coming of age crisis, and he feels the most sincere incompatibility with his mother, and that's why they're at odds, because they have nothing to share, they have nothing to say to each other. He hates what she's wearing, what she's saying, what she's cooking, what she's not doing, what she is doing, and probably likewise. So now, and by the way, he is gay, which didn't change anything really. It was another synopsis saying she is sending him to boarding school because she finds out she finds out he is gay. No, false again. So it's just all these first films have been just writing queer characters not as a part of a social endeavor, not as a part of a movement, not as a part of a community, just because that's who I am. And for me, it is not even a trait. It is not even a trait. T-R-A-I-T, that word. It is not something that can define a character or a quest. Unless you are making a film about a young man coming out of the closet, which would be very, very modern. It could be also a thriller taking place in Ohio, where hell is real. But what I'm saying is that it's anyway. They've never been driven by a queer plot, and so Mommy is not queer. It's just a movie, and there are no queer characters in it, and there was no decisions whatsoever at whatever time explaining or justifying that it's not even a choice. The story just felt like Steve was straight. So I hope that answers your question.
Let's go to the front row on this side.
Hi. Two of your best music choices are Betty Davis Eyes and Lawrence Anyways and I'm Blue in Mommy, so I was wondering if you could specifically...
That tells us a lot about who you are.
I think they're very...
And who I am, I guess.
What?
And who I am, I guess.
And so I was just wondering if you could specifically elaborate on why those, on your thought process behind each of those two songs and the two scenes that they're in.
And maybe if I could add half a question to that, and it might be worth having the audience understand how music, you talked about music earlier, but how music fits into your process at a very early stage as well as the question.
Sure. So I'll answer to your question and I'll address that. So Betty Davis Eyes is just a song that I really, really love. And for me, it's endlessly romantic. And I just felt like, Lawrence Anyways was really about literally picking all of the songs that I really like and being like, can we buy them? and and I didn't really never care about did it make sense, or what the characters would be listening to, or because they would totally be listening to that song. And I guess that ever since Lawrence Emerson, there's been Tom, where all the use of music is completely diegetic. Nothing plays on Tom, right? Except the score. All of the songs are playing at the radio, or in a CD, or in a bar, or so. And it was the same for Mommy. But then I thought, it's not only always going to be the radio. I've got to find a way in Mommy to have these great songs from the 2000s and late 90s where we're all going to be happy to hear them. And I guess what I was looking for is that these songs are so famous and they're such hits that whenever we hear them, I feel memories very deeply rooted inside us, inside ourselves, surface, and it elicits a collective emotion that serves the film. And I don't mean that in an egotistical way, but in a selfish way, but I think that that's the purpose of music and film, is, you know, making us feel more than what there is on screen. And so, and Blue, the Eiffel 65 song, did seem like the sort of song Steve would love to dance on, because he's such an electron and he loves to move and dance, and all of the songs in Mommy were finally part of a mixtape that the father, who is dead in the film, gave them before dying. And it's a mixtape of the songs they were allegedly listening to during a West Coast road trip they did a couple of years back. Happy years of their lives. So that is what they're listening to. And at one point, you see Steve, you know, as you just saw in the Colorblind, the Counting Crows song, you see his finger pressing play, and you can, from there on, you can, you know, understand that he is in charge of the soundtrack, and that whatever song you hear in the film afterwards is probably playing on his ghetto blaster, and I love saying the word ghetto blaster. So that's about it for those two songs. I'm glad you like them. And then, yes. So you wanted me to talk about how early? Yeah, how early?
I think you already touched on a little bit of how music fits into your films and why it's important, but I think it was important to just have you elaborate on how early on in the process.
As early as when nothing exists yet, such as hearing a song on the radio and thinking, I love that song, going home and writing a script. It happened once. It is not a script I've directed yet. It's in a drawer somewhere with all the Post-its and napkins with ideas and things that are waiting to, be written. Well, for Mommy, I heard that song called Experience from Ludovico Einaudi. It's an instrumental piece that I really, really love. And when I heard it, I was extremely touched, and I immediately thought of a mother visualizing the life that she would never have. I just didn't know that it would be Die in Mommy. And I thought, one day, I have to use that for that. And then finally I did know that. I knew that I would direct Mommy, that Mommy was the next movie. And then I wrote that song, I wrote that scene on that song, knowing that I would be asking for that song. And then I wrote the rest of the film around it. And more specifically, I always forget to mention it for some reason, but the moment I know that I'm ready to make a film is the moment when I have cut in my head and edited shot by shot on a song the trailer of that film. Before I have that, I'm not ready. I haven't seen the film. I would be bad. I'm not there in my life. It's not the next one if I don't see the trailer. The trailer you... Sorry, I love coughing inside my shirt. It's very elegant. Sorry. And the trailer of Mommy that you can watch on YouTube is a trailer I had seen in my head before I had even written the script down. And I have the trailers for John F. Donovan, I have the trailers for whatever else. Sorry, I'm dying. Now. Alright. So music intervenes very early.
Have some water, we'll take another question. We'll come back over here, but let's go to the third row to the woman here, and then we'll come around to this side. Hi.
Hi. I'm just wondering if having a growing body of work about mothers has been something that's come up with your own mother, and if so, how you navigate that both personally and creatively.
Well, my mom loves the films. She's, it's not, you know, not all mothers are about her or inspired from her. The first movie was very much inspired from our relationship. When I mean, you know, very much, I mean almost 500%. But then, from that moment on, from that film on, my mother is very inspirational. She's very inspiring. Many characters are made of elements of her and moments I've lived with her, but for completely different individuals. But it's true that many characters consist of an amalgam, you know, a weird way to amalgamate myself and my mother and my grandmothers, and I can't say that I Kill My Mother has brought us closer. I can't really say that. And it's a very idiosyncratic relationship. Because, of course, we're not at odds, you know, like in I Kill My Mother. Well, not anymore. We don't live together. But what's very tricky about this relationship is that, is it raining? I'm hearing a sound like it's raining. No, okay, sorry. I'm crazy. Blanche Dubois. Vivian Leigh is here. So it's a tricky relationship because she is, as much as she is present in my creation and in my work, and as much as she helps me understand women and somehow selfishly exploit some flaws or fissures or cracks within which I explore some dark, I guess, gorges of the human soul. Well, that is a complicated sentence. But I guess that through her, I write a lot and understand a lot and write about women. But it is bizarre that, or not that bizarre, that in real life, that inspirational report does not translate into a healthy relationship. And we are not at odds, but I cannot say that we are close. And I know that now will pretty much be, I think, the last time I probably ever talk about this, because she will hear about this, she will see this, and she will be heard. She's read some interviews and she's got Google alerts. She calls them goggle alerts. And, which I think is lovely, but irritates me. It's in the next movie. And yeah, she will hear about this and she will not understand. And anyway, but I hope that answers your question.
Let's go here. and then we'll work our way back.
I always have particularly gravitated to the women characters in your movie and the actresses who play them, and I enjoy seeing them recur in other films, and I could have noticed that pattern. So wondering if that's happy coincidence or whatever it may be, and then also if you could speak a little bit about your hands-on working with them as a director, because the performances are always incredibly moving to me. So,
All right, okay, thank you. So you mean you would love me to comment on whether it is coincidental, whether it is a coincidence that we work again together?
that was more of like a superficial like preface to the actual question of how you actually work with the female, your actresses.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll still address your superficial preface,
Thank you.
as I love shallow preambles. No, but I completely understand. So it's not a coincidence. I mean, obviously, I have written Mommy for Anne. Mommy, not the character. I've written the film for her, to work with her again, and Suzanne, whom I missed from Lawrence Anyways. And I have written Lawrence Anyways to work with Suzanne. I've not written Lawrence Anyways to tell a story of love between transgender women and I. No, I've written it to work with her. So that is, as much as I've written John O'Donovan to work with, I'm not going to tell you who. No, that came later. That was a beautiful surprise, but originally, anyway. So Anne and Suzanne are very dear friends, and I know them in real life, which I think is precious when you work with actors, unless you are unable, obviously, of drawing a line professionally on a set, which I feel that I am able to do. But knowing people in a very private way and in their privacy will, I believe, help you to achieve, to help them achieve complete transformation and composition. Because it's not only about their previous work, thinking, oh, I want to be different than that film. Yeah, of course you want to be. But now you're also going to be different from who you are in real life. You cannot laugh like you laugh. You cannot walk like you walk. Sorry. You cannot cry like you cry. You can't do any of these things. It's got to be 100% someone else. And so knowing them in real life is very challenging for both of us, because they also know me, and we want to bring each other in some other place, in some unknown destination. And so working with them on set is mostly about having absolute and total faith and trust in each other. I have absolute faith in Anne and in Suzanne. And I think it's reciprocal. And how it happens with them, as it happens with all of the other actors on my sets, is that I try to direct a scene, not as a director, but as an actor. This is how I can understand a scene, is how I would act it, how not direct it. So when the camera is rolling, you will never hear me shut up, except when they talk. When they're talking, I'm listening. But if I feel that as an actor, and they're welcome to do the same thing in improv whenever they want, we create everything together. We change the dialogue together. We choose the clothes together. But when the camera is rolling, I often feel that as an actor, I would chime in, and I would say that, I would add that, because suddenly it seems like it's befitting, and that I'm looking at the monitor and I'm like, oh, this, but I don't want to say cut and say, oh, Suzanne, could you add that line? I want her to add it now. She's been perfect in the take, and she's had that little moment where she sort of forgot her line, but she turned it into something more interesting, and now I feel like I want her to do this, and she's just about to say her new line, but I don't want her to say it now, because I feel like we need a beat here, because it's too much dialogue, and it's tiresome, and it's overwritten, and it's... So I'll just tell her to shut up and look through the window. Or, and she's great when she does it, I love it when she does that, just open her mouth and sort of discourage herself from saying something and then wait, take a beat, and then say it. So it is a constant dialogue with the actors, and especially these two, because they can respond to that, and they can incorporate notes as the scene is ongoing. They can incorporate notes seamlessly. And this makes their acting seem, to me, like a sort of constellation of stars, where every star is an idea. And you know when people tell you, that is a constellation right here, and they take a, thick pen and they draw lines between it, it's like, look, it looks like a, turtle. And you're like, that's really annoying. And you don't see the stars anymore, you just see a turtle. You're like, great. All right, I'll look for the turtle in the sky. But now, what they do, what I think this does is that it breaks the little map that they've drawn for themselves, that I've drawn for myself. It makes all of this collapse. It makes us go back to the most basic of instincts. And it makes them rush and fear and doubt, because suddenly it's not all about what they had calculated. Oh, here's about my little, blinking, and here's about this and that, and here's about my shtick or whatever. Not anymore, because someone is talking to you and you must incorporate that. And when we all do that together is, I feel, when we found the most beautiful moments in the film, because they were not written. And I didn't find them alone in my living room. They didn't find them alone. Not to give, not to withdraw whatever credit they could have. They have all the credit. And I found some things and they found some things, but these things, we found them together on the spur. So this is how I work with them.
We have unfortunately reached our hour mark,
Oh, shit.
and
Sorry.
Xavier has to take a plane back tonight. I think you're flying home.
No,
No, you're not. Okay,
that is a lie.
that is a lie. You're not flying. But
Well, I didn't know how it would go, so I just had to tell you the plain line. No, it's going to change. Anyway.
Either way, I've been given a signal that we need to wrap up.
Okay.
But I want to just,
I'm sorry if I give long answers, or sometimes I don't know what to shut up.
not at all, I think your answers were very thoughtful, so thank you thank you for spending the time to elaborate on your answers and to spend the time talking with us here. As I've already said multiple times, the film opens next Friday here at the Film Society, so I hope you will come back to see it. But for now, join me in thanking Xavier Dolan for spending the time.
Thank you for your questions.